Welcome to the Tampa Bay Chapter's IIBA. Today is our master class with Esther Simas and Simas Benvicius. Today we're going to talk about AI agents. What are they? How are they made? And what you can do with them. Let me ask you to be patient with me. I got to get my stuff together here. Before we begin, let me give you some notes, who I am, so you're not wondering. My name is Thea Soren. I am the president of the Tampa Bay IIBA chapter. I've been in business analysis for about 30 years. My career spans a variety of industries. I've had the honor of contributing to the BABOC and founding the BA Force Multiplier movement and leading the Tampa Bay chapter. Tonight, we have two speakers that are going to co-present. Esther is the Vice President of Career and Professional Development for the Tampa Bay chapter this year. She's also an author of several books, two of which are called Business Analysis, Bridging the Gap Between Industries. We're about to put out the 12 New Industries, Volume 2. And Simas is the Vice President of Membership for the chapter. He also has a full-time job, but he's also the owner of scalingthis.com. I'm looking forward to hearing their presentation. But before we do that, let's begin with those of you who are new to the IIBA. The International Institute of Business Analysis is the global governing body for business analysts. With about 30,000 members, 120 chapters worldwide, and 7 certifications, we're excited about making the world better one business, one project, and one life at a time. What are the benefits of joining the IIBA? You get access to training provided by chapters around the world. You get complimentary access to 25,000 outstanding books that went up from 11,000 in November, including the BABOC, along with webinars and additional resources, and you get discounts on certification exams. IIBA chapters are in major cities around the world. If there is not an active chapter near you, we can talk about you starting a chapter, or you're welcome to the Tampa Bay IIBA. Members of the Tampa Bay, Florida chapter are not restricted to residents of Florida. In fact, they have members from all around the globe. If you do not have an IIBA chapter, Tampa Bay can be your chapter. Our vision here at Tampa Bay IIBA is building a thriving community of empowered business analysts. So why would you choose to join the Tampa Bay chapter? We offer multiple training sessions each week, including CBAT prep and coaching. You can view our upcoming events on our website, and the updates are posted across LinkedIn and Facebook. And by the end of 2025, we had presented over 200 events between 2021 and 2025. Actually, that's 400 events. And all of those events are available on YouTube. You can get an index of all those recordings. Go to Bob's Amazing Index right here at rpchurchill.com. Thanks to Bob Churchill. The Tampa Bay IIBA chapter, after putting on all of those trainings and mentoring over 100 individuals every year, was awarded the Global IIBA Award for Professional Development Excellence. We're pretty proud of that. These are the people that lead and work for the Tampa Bay IIBA behind the scenes. We appreciate each of them working so diligently to benefit our participants. A result of all that training, we have over 30 people that have come back to say that our training has mentoring has helped them achieve their certification. Many of these are past students of the CBAP study group, and several studied along with us using only our YouTube videos. Of these 30 folks, a majority have gone on to either lead IIBA chapters in organizations here around the world because we make leaders here. Shout out to our partners. Our number one partner group is you, IIBA members, and those who participate in our chapter. We're also partnered with over a dozen other IIBA chapters worldwide and mentoring 3 chapters that are just forming. We have partnered with the Doback Group based in the UK and these others in the Tampa area. We've also partnered with several recruiting companies and training companies. One of our participants reports that they just started a job that Moonshot matched for them. We also welcome Software Ed to our list of partners. Our goal, as always, is to elevate our BA community. So, as a result of all those partnerships, we have things for you. Watermark Learning has agreed to continue to offer 40% discount using this code, and that means you can get unlimited access to 1,200 CBAT practice test questions with a 40% discount. Adaptive US, who specializes in only business analysis, has over 90 free items on their website, and they offer our participants a 20% discount on all live classes and on-demand courses, excluding IIBA exam vouchers. The BA live event is coming up, and they are offering us a early bird discount. I'm sorry, I've got the wrong thing here. This is Soft Ed, not BA Live. This should be Soft Ed. Soft Ed has 26 webinars free on their website, and for participants of our chapter, they're offering an early bird discount of only $40 for 5 PDUs in their upcoming AI and Software Engineering Conference to be held on February 19th from noon to 5. They also have a lot of other pretty cool stuff on their website. This is BA Life. BA Life conference is coming up in April, and they'll virtually bring over 30 brilliant speakers and 12 months of access to the recordings. The early bird pricing is currently going on until about February 13th. You could save 50 pounds right now, making your cost US dollars of $264. Then you get access to the recordings. If you are interested in going to the Building Business Capability Conference in Toronto, Canada this year in April, you can currently get about a 20% discount on the registration. We expect the registration early bird discount to stop probably mid-February, but they don't publish a date, so that's a guess. If you don't know, IIBA membership rates are increasing slightly on February 3rd. If you want to lock in the current rate for future use, you can pay future years now, say the next 5 years, at the current rate if you pay it before February 3rd. There are some countries that are moving up in regions. Region 1 will not change at all. Region 2, these that are in red will move up to Region 1 as of February 3rd. So the price is going to increase even more for you. And those of you in Region 3, these that are in red will move up to Region 2. So again, the price will increase more for you. If you're interested in more training, you can always come to the Tampa Bay IIBA chapter to subscribe to our events on our website and receive notifications. We also have our LinkedIn group. You can join our LinkedIn group. We have over 1,000 members there. That is the IIBA Tampa Bay chapter in Florida. We have our YouTube, all of our events on YouTube. You can go to that. There's over 200 videos of past recordings. And to identify what you want to watch, check out rpchurchill.com because he's got his fantastic index. Coming up, on January 22nd, Rachel Tan is going to be providing a training called Design Thinking in Action. I saw this at BBC last year, and I approached her and I said, please bring this to my chapter. It is so valuable. It's very enjoyable. I think you'll enjoy just participating, but the knowledge is really important. The week after that, we're going to talk about the CBAT Prep and the CBAT Prep course that's coming up. That's going to be held not only here in Tampa Bay, but then they're going to use that recording in many chapters around the world. And so attend this. It's also going to be on the website, but that's going to be on January 29th. The opening for the CBAT Prep course is going to open on January 30th. Then the week after that, February 5th, Lead Without Authority. Esther, do you want to present this one?
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening. So we have amazing events planned for the month of February, March, in fact, all the months of this year. But the 5th of February, we're going to be taking a session, which is going to be a session that's going to be handled by Shweta. She's going to be taking us through leading without authority, how BAs elevate outcomes through influence. So this is something we need as business analysts to learn, basically how to lead without authority. So that session is going to be interesting. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be insightful. So please just register, through our website and register for the session. Then the week after, we're going to be having another technical session, data skills for business analysts. We understand that the business environment is becoming dynamic. Things are changing. So how exactly do we as business analysts prepare ourselves to be evolving professionals? So we're going to learn this, and Scott Ambler, by the way, an award-winning author, is going to be our speaker on that day. Please register. Go to the IIBA Tampa Bay website and ensure you register for the session. Afterwards, we're going to be having another technical session. Um, we have something called an automation series, which we're going to be having. That's the third Thursday every month. We're studying that today, more or less. That's with agentic AI. But for the month of February, we're going to be having from insight to action. We're going to learn how to automate business workflow with Microsoft Fabric and Power Automate. I'm sure a lot of people, we've been seeing a couple of things online. What exactly does Power Automate do? What exactly does MS Fabric do? Like, what exactly do I use it for? Do we use it for? And that session is going to be taken by Taiwo Olatunde. So please register for this session. What we're going to do before every session, we're supposed to do that today, but apologies for not meeting up with that, but we're going to send a list of requirements before the technical sessions. So if you need to register or create an account for something, we're going to send that information to everybody such that during the session, you're going to be able to at least try your hands on some of all these automations and things that we're working with or working towards. Then afterwards, oh, that's all we have. So but February is really, really packed. March is really packed. I look forward to seeing everyone during the sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. So today's BA Masterclass is about growth, connection, and impact. Whether you're new to BA or refining your approach, the Tampa Bay IIBA is here to support your journey and celebrate your contributions. Let's dive in.
All
Esther,
right.
I'll let you take the screen.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Thea. All right. Good afternoon, evening once again to everyone. Before I start, I want us to quickly do something. So I'm putting a link in the chat. It's the same link. I'm just posting it multiple times. Now that link, let me share my screen. Can we all access that link firstly? I need to be sure. Try it. We
This
have,
is Mentimeter.
yes, Mentimeter. If you can see Mentimeter. Oh, okay. I'm already getting some results. Interesting. Anticipating, curious, excited. Okay. More feedbacks, please. How do you really feel? We're in a world where everyone seems to be talking about agentic AI. Everybody seems to be talking about automation. Everybody seems you're just if you're even scrolling on Instagram or scrolling on Facebook, maybe it's also as a result of your algorithm, like your search results. But for me, I get a ton of results, a ton of adverts on AI, on automation, on agents, and all that. So, how do you really feel? And also answer this question from the perspective where it feels like um, AI is coming to take my job. Some people have that fear. So, how do you really feel? Yes, curious. I can anticipate that. But how do you really feel? Who hasn't filled this out? There are more responses. So, someone says annoyed. Okay. Efficiency gains, chaotic. Yeah, I can agree to that. Overwhelmed. Yes, it actually gets overwhelming. Um, hmm, suspicious. Okay. Yeah, let's see. More feedback, more feedback.
Can
It's
you
looking
refresh the
interesting.
screen?
How
Yeah,
many
it's
people put in the chat bot, real person, please? Because we get annoyed.
That's actually something. Let's see. It's refreshing anyway. I'm seeing the updates. Okay. Hmm. Interesting. Well, at least I get to know how people really feel about it. So if you want to put in more, please go ahead. Then I'm gonna bring in the second question. Now, we're all in a world where, once again, still in the world of AI, but being realistic with ourselves as business analysts, how exactly can we try, like, look at some use cases? What kind of agents do you think can be created? Now, I'm putting another link in the chat. This is another Mentimeter link, and that's going to give us this session. What kind of agents do you think? Let's give sample use cases or an agent that sends me an email when somebody does this, or an agent that does that. So that basically, there's a reason I'm asking us to fill this out or to get all these thoughts and ideas, because at the end of this session, the goal is for us to go back, take a look at some of all these agents that we've documented, things that are possible, that can be done. Then sit down, look at tools that can actually help you to create this. It's not something you're going to get immediately. There are going to be there will be times where you get exhausted. There'll be times when you get frustrated. There'll be times when you're like, can I actually create this thing? But those are the learning curves that helps you to finally create something. So we're just basically creating a use case library at the moment of things that can be created, of sample AI agents that can be created. So think of something, think outside the box. What kind of agents do you think can be created? I'm waiting for responses. I have two responses now, but we need more. Okay, I can see them. Remind me when something is due, which is possible. Match information between multiple applications. Yep, I want an agent that would summarize all the Teams chat I'm on when I'm away from my keyboard for a time frame. And I like the fact that this person is talking about Microsoft Teams, which is something that we're still going to look at. Microsoft has something called the Copilot Studio, where you can actually create AI agents. For that one, you definitely need a Copilot license, but you don't need to purchase API keys like some of the other automation tools that we have. So yes, an agent for requirements, documentation, analysis. Yes, it can actually be created. Onboarding agents. We have a ton of onboarding agents, by the way. That's also something. If you're interested in creating an onboarding agent, what exactly makes your own onboarding agents different from what other people are creating or what other people are using as much as possible? So I'll just wait for one more feedback. Search for inconsistencies. Oh, do love the logic that Duke Energy has linked to the smart meters. They can send me a message that the house lost power within minutes with an estimate of the power being restored. Yep. But if you're going to do something like this requires extensive tools, by the way, but that's a good model. Now, I like the fact that we're thinking, and that expands our knowledge base, expands our thought processes to see that agents are actually things that we can create. They're actually things that we have thought of as individuals or as business analysts. And they are actually answers to problems that we have identified. So they're not things that just come up magically. So if you can determine and understand, oh, this is what I want this agent to do, this is the problem, that's actually the foundation. And that's exactly where our superpower as business analysts come in. So, firstly, thank you very much for helping me fill that out. And let's go right into our presentation. Can everyone see my screen? All right. So once again, hello, everyone. Don't be scared. That's the first thing. I'm not going to make it really technical. I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. And if I get too excited, please don't hesitate to tell me, hey, Esther, You're super excited. You're running too fast. Let's get it ready. Someone's hand is raised, by the way.
It wasn't me. I just did this thing. It wasn't. It was AI. It
Oh,
wasn't me.
okay. AI is the culprit right now. All right, so let's get right into the presentation. Um, we hear about AI agents. What exactly are they? Now, um, before we talk about AI agents, there are three major things we need to know. Automation on its own, then AI automation on its own, then AI agents separately. So most times we interchange the words for each other. Now, automation is definitely the use of technology to execute predefined steps. And there are a whole lot of things you can use to automate. There are different automation tools. For example, you can do just a quick automation using Power Automate now. For that, you don't need, oh, you're not connecting. You might not necessarily do as much connections as possible. That's just the simple, oh, I just want, instead of making this report to be manual, let's make it electronic now. You're just automating a step that was manual, making it electronic. Now, what exactly is AI automation? So you can actually automate with the use of technology. Technology may and may not include AI. So let's have that. But when you now talk of AI automation, that on its own includes or uses AI to automate your process, to interpret maybe unstructured data or to make definitions. But where we now have an AI agent, there's something called an LLM, that's a large language model. While we're going on, I'll just explain that an LLM is simply the brain. Don't let anybody make it technical or really complex. When you talk about the LLM, just remember that it's the brain of whatever you're doing. That's as simple, straightforward as possible. Now, what exactly is an AI agent? An AI agent is a system that basically observes information, it makes decisions for you, it takes actions using different tools. And these tools are like we have a ton of tools. And as much as possible, adapts its behavior within defined guardrails. Defined guardrails, defined rules, defined constraints, things that you're just more like things that you set up when you're working or creating an AI agent. Now, what exactly makes up an AI agent? There are components, core components about AI agents. Firstly, what is the goal? If you're creating an AI agent, you need to understand what problem that agent is going to solve. That's why I said we should start from beginning, getting problems, use cases, things that would basically help for you to know what exactly you want to do. So what problem does the AI agent solve? What information? That's the input. Every AI agent, no AI agent exists in isolation. An AI agent requires an input, requires knowledge, requires something before it can even do. Like you need an input before you can get an output. So what is the information that the agent receives? We're going to look at different knowledge sources or information sources later on. Then what is the decision logic? What's the logic? What's the reasoning behind why it is actually making this decision or going to take these next steps? That's an important concept or component of an AI agent. Then the tools. What tools do I want to integrate to make this agent work? What tools do I want to add to this particular agent to make it reasonable? Or what are the actions I want this agent to be able to perform? So these are like core things. So if you want to create an agent, sit down. What's the goal I want this agent to fulfill? Write it down. The input, where do I want my agent to get its data from or its information from? Write it down. What's the decision logic? Note it down. What tools do I want to integrate? Note it down. This is making it as simple as possible and not extremely complicated like it has been made out to be. Then, memory and context. The whole goal, it also depends on what you're building, but there are some agents that after you type in five, will I call them five questions or five prompts, the memory is lost. They can only remember as far back as five chats. Some can only remember as far back as 10 chats. If you also try to use normal chat GPT, there are times if you don't, especially using the paid version of ChatGPT and you create a project, it's easy for memory to be retained. But there are times after a long while, or even just using a normal chat, ChatGPT begins to give you some responses that are not even aligned with what you need at that point in time. So you need to define the memory of your agent, what your agent remembers over time. So these are the core components of every AI agent that we need to know. Now, what exactly are some of the tools that we can use to build AI agents? These tools that we're listing here, they're into like three different categories. They're not the only tools. There are so many tools. If you sit down on YouTube, you're going to see so many tools. You're going to see even 30 minutes training, 20 minutes training, how to create a quick automation, different things that would help you. So stick with the one that also works with your budget, most importantly, then with your skill set, but give yourself that allowance to also grow and explore other tools. Let's mention that some people might be scared that they might code. You really don't need to code. Yeah, there are times you're going to need to code, especially if you're using some N8N and you need to put in some JSON, blah, 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 for um, some people that might be technical for. But there are times you don't need to code. Whenever I'm creating agents using the Microsoft Copilot Studio, I code nothing, nada. So there are times you actually don't need to code, but there are times you might need to. Now, what you really need to understand is how the different tools you want to work with, how they fit together. What are your critical decision points? What decisions can be automated? So just think of the tools as process orchestration platforms with intelligence. Oh, these tools are just helping me and they kind of have the brain and the sense to do what I want it to do. Just think of those tools, just something like that. Now, what are some of the tools that we use? We have the agent studios. There are so many agent studios. It's not restricted to this. Low code or no code platforms. There are low codes and there are no code platforms. Microsoft Copilot Studio, UiPath, ServiceNow, the virtual agent for rapid development. Then if you're looking at workflow automation plus AI, you remember I talked about automation, I talked about AI automation, and I talked about AI agents. Now, if you're looking at the ones that are even focused on workflow, I'm sure you would have seen some things like definitely Power Automate, Zapier. Zapier is one really important tool. It doesn't do extensively like some um, core AI studios, but Zapier is also a good tool if you want to automate some workflows. So these are tools that you can also check out. Then if you're heavily into coding or you also want to use that to learn how to code, you can be looking at platforms like LangChain, AutoGen, and all that. But those are also these are really important tools. But the major question that we would want to ask ourselves is this particular agent I want to use. What exactly is this agent allowed to know? What exactly do I want this agent to perform? And what must it never see? Let's not forget that we're business analysts. So we determine the behavior of the agents. For example, when we're talking about like, okay, let me not jump the gun. Let's go in there, then I'll talk about version control. So the low code, no code platforms, these are some examples. We also have the workflow automation. We have N8N. Simas later today is also going to show us how to, some automations that he has created using N8N. We initially planned that we were going to have everybody create automations using N8N, but because we did not inform everybody earlier, that would have required everybody purchasing API keys. But maybe based off feedback, would see if
It's
based
the US-based conversation.
okay. So maybe based off the feedback that we received, we could always have another session and we walk people through how to create some agents or workflow automations using N8N or even Zapier. You just let us know and we'll see how to slot that in. So but in every agent that you're creating, there are some important things that you need to know. Yeah, these are examples of some of the platforms. Now, for some agents, any agent that you're creating, what exactly would be your trigger? There are some words that even if maybe just for conversation purposes, even if you don't know what it really means, also try to know the cliche words while creating something. Oh, what are the triggers? I want my agent to work, but what's the trigger? Do I want to have a manual trigger that works at a particular time, or do I want to have an automated trigger that works at a particular time based off a particular action? The triggers, they're things that you um we need to know as much as possible. Now, going back to the fact that we are business analysts, what's our advantage? Like what sets us apart? The first thing is we are process oriented as business analysts. I don't know any business analyst that's not process oriented, even if you're not a process expert. But what exactly does this agent want to do, or do I want this agent to do? You are starting with clarity about the workflows and about the decisions, not necessarily with selecting technology. Technology is just maybe following if you want to get going through vendor selection process. That's still later on. But if you don't determine or decide exactly where it starts from, you start with clarity. Because if you are not clear from the onset, there's going to be problem later on. Now, what are the boundaries? What exactly do I want this agent to do? And what exactly do I want humans to still do? So there are times we make the mistake and say, oh, everything has to be done by the agent. It also depends on the context. Now, there are some agents that have been created where humans still have to do something. Oh, if someone submits a form, it triggers an agentic flow. So what exactly do we still need humans or agents to do? Taking, for example, an agent that I created recently, and this particular agent, what it does is we have a training hub for anything artificial intelligence. Now, that training hub, I need it to be automatically updated every week because it's a training hub. I don't want outdated information on that particular hub. I want the information to be current, based and highly dependent on what's it called? Highly regulated sites that are trustworthy, sites that their information, their training resources are very important, maybe to the IT space. Taking, for example, Microsoft Learn. If I get some documentations or some training resources from Microsoft Learn, I can make it that's authentic. That's verifiable and it's reputable. Oh, I want a particular training resource from a Microsoft community or from a GitHub community or something, I determine what the agent is doing and where it is getting its source from. Then this particular agent that was created crawls the entire internet. It's an extensive agent, let's be frank. But what it does, crawls the entire agent and looks for training resources on anything artificial intelligence, prompt libraries, things that would benefit people in a particular industry setting. Now, after doing that crawling every Monday at 8 a.m., every Monday, the trigger has been like, it has been set to Monday at 8 a.m. After doing all the crawling, it gathers 3 to 5 different training resources. And I'm making sure that I made sure when I was creating that agent, I made sure that agent, it's not just crawling, it's giving me links. It can also give me documents. So I am specifying document types in the agent. I don't know if we're getting the picture. So for every step, there are so many things you need to specify. Oh, I don't just want links. I want, if you can get me pictures, if you can get me PDFs, if you can get me Excel sheets, I specify my document types that I want it to return back to me. Now, when that is done, every Monday, I think 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., I get that email. It pops up as a Microsoft approval. This. I review the training resources. And I do not just review the training resources, I have to approve it. And once that training resource, I click on approval, it automatically sends an email to everybody in the organization. This training resource is available and they are able to access that training. But what else does that training do? It automatically goes to that training hub, updating itself. So that's a long stretch. But I've been able to define how exactly I want the agent to behave. It's not going to behave outside the way I want it to behave. That's clear. My boundaries are clear. Then I specify. That's exactly, you specify it. You're not necessarily coding. And this is easy. There are so many things that are easy to do with the Microsoft Copilot Studio. Check it out. There are times you don't even need to code. Now, you can also document your decision logic. How exactly am I making this decision? Document it. One of our superpowers is the fact that we're able to document. Please and please document how you arrived at what your agent is doing. Documentation is key because if you create an agent and you want to sell it out to a client, for example, how exactly will that agent make sense to the client? It's not like you're giving away your trade secrets. There's a difference, but your client needs documentations. And even on so many tools, platforms that we're using, you would always see a documentation. On NA10, you'll see some documentations. Microsoft Copilot Studio, for example, if you're even looking at some of the templates, and some of all these platforms have templates. So there are times you don't even need to create an agent from scratch. You only need to use the templates and adapt it to what you're doing. But most of all these templates have documentations. So it is always important to also read the documentations yourself. Then establish your metrics. What exactly, this agent, this is what I want it to do. What's my KPIs? Oh, is it going to make my errors reduced maybe by 20%? Establish and measure your success. So the BA first approach ensures that the AI agent solves real problems. And quite frankly, it respects human judgment and delivers measurable results. Don't just go to bed and say, oh, the agent is going to do everything start to finish. Except it now that depends on the kind of agent you want to build. There are some start to finish that doesn't involve human interactions, human involvement. Yes, but there are some, especially in highly regulated industries, try as much as possible that whatever you're building brings in and respects human judgment or has human interaction. Now, start with your process, not necessarily technology. Understand your business process. Then, if we want to create, where do we start from? Define the business problem. What decision in the organization is slow or inconsistent at this particular time? Can an agent do it? If you start with that, identify what particular process is being delayed or creating friction in an organization. That's also ways we get the use cases or we get the problems that we want to solve. Where are humans overloaded? Imagine someone sitting down, looking at piles and piles and piles and piles of documents and has to manually read and all that. There are times it gets really complicated. At what point are human beings overloaded? How exactly can an AI agent do this? These are really important questions that we need to ask ourselves. What outcome really matters? Define your success clearly. Do I want faster response time? Do I want reduced errors? Do I want improved compliance? Then map the current process. There is nothing wrong in you documenting what is happening right now. Document your as is. It allows you to even know exactly where your to be's are. And this is classic BA work. So that's where we are. It's very critical. Map every step, every handoff, every decision point in the current workflow. Know what the pain points are. What are the decision bottlenecks, the inefficiencies? Where does the process break down or even cause frustration? Note it down. Where do approvals or judgments slow everything down? Have it noted down. This would help you actually map a really comprehensive current process that would help you now define what you want the to be's to be and allow your outcomes to even be measurable. Identify, like I've said earlier, your agent boundaries, what the agent should do and what humans should still do. Then the decision logic, the intelligence layer that's based off the LLM. Like I said, the LLM is the brain. What are the rules, engine, or the hybrid approach, just based off your technical specifications. Now, where does an AI agent get its knowledge from? An AI agent doesn't just cook up information. It's not it doesn't just think of things. Knowledge was placed in it. Now, there are some agents, taking for example, the Microsoft um, Copilot Studio. When you want to create an agent within the Microsoft environment, what's your knowledge source? There are times you require static knowledge in the sense that your SOPs, your manuals, policies that are in different organization, frequently asked questions stored in SharePoint, document repositories. Then most agents, especially when you are creating it that has something internal within the internal environment, has to do with the data that you have in that organization or in that environment. Another example of an agent that was created, this one basically crawls through these entire organization's intranet. Now, not internet, the not the website. The website is the public facing. The intranet is within the organization. Now, even within the organization, they have a ton of policies. Somebody wants to know, oh, where are my HR benefits? Or, oh, payroll, how are they doing these particular deductions? And what this AI agent simply does is more like a chatbot, answers questions based off the information put in the HR policies, giving the URL for the intranet. You give access. There are accesses and permissions that are very, very important in this process. Oh, what SOPs? Now, where we now come in again as business analysts is, even if you are giving an agent the document, for example, and you say, oh, this is the HR policy for 2025, and you give the AI agent the 2025 documents. And January 1st or January 5th of 2026, there's a new HR policy version 2. And you don't remember to give the AI agent that updated policy, the information it's going to give to you is the information based off the document you put in before. So it doesn't have superpowers. It's depending on what you have fed it. It's depending on the information you have given to it. So document control, version control is very, very important in whatever we're building. Then external sources like public APIs, regulations, market data feeds, things that you know that would help your agent. But again, you have to decide what you want the agent to remember and ensure again compliance and privacy. There are so many industries that are highly regulated. So there are some informations that you have to be careful. Even though it's being presented to the agent, you set those boundaries. The agent has to behave based off those boundaries. What is this agent allowed to know? And what must this agent never see? That's a very, very important question, especially if you're using public um, agent studios. You have to be very, very careful. But for example, if you're using the Microsoft Copilot studio for that lives within your Microsoft tenant, like Microsoft tenant, your Microsoft environment, the internal. So at that point, whatever you provide at that point is kind of confidential and safe, secure, but it's AI. So we just also need to know that whatever we're doing based off our industry, compliance, privacy, like the education industry or different, we have the HIPAA laws, the FEPA laws, there are things you cannot joke with. Forget that it's AI. You have to be very careful. So understand what also works in your industry. I've talked about the LLM. It's all jargons. Okay, not necessarily jargons. It's the brain. That's the simple definition. And we have different LLMs, different brains, different things that are very helpful. I'm sure many of us we know OpenAI. Claude, Gemini, like there are a ton, DeepSeek, like there are a ton of things. Just find out whatever works for you. And some of all these things actually cost money, not necessarily heavy, heavy. If you want to start, you can start small with whatever you're creating. Taking, for example, if we're going to use NA10 APIs now, some NA10 APIs, you can actually just get an API, the what's it called now, for maybe $5. It might not, it's actually still going to do something. Maybe not extensive, but you can actually get some for $5, $10. Um, and the fact that you have a premium ChatGPT account, OpenAI doesn't mean that's a separate, it's still ChatGPT OpenAI, but it's still a separate payment. So the fact that you have premium ChatGPT and maybe you pay $20, you still have to pay for that. That's a separate this, and the APIs are separate things. And yes, I might be saying APIs. What it simply means is password. Your API keys are just passwords. So I've tried as much as possible to simplify it and make it as simple. Um, so now we're going to go to our hands-on session. Simas is going to start, show us some agents that he has. By the way, Simas is doing an amazing job. Let me stop sharing. Um, quite frankly, I appreciate the fact that everyone is looking for ways to be different, to do so many things. Simas is an amazing individual. He's a CEO, by the way, and his agents are they're intimidating to me. Let me use that word. So, Simas, you have the floor. Thank you very much.
All right. Hello, everybody. So this actual agent is a real business use case. I've actually sold this to other people as well. So I've kind of templated it and then kind of consulted with them. And then after I had the consultation, what I would do was put in what they need and kind of bring out the brain. So I want to kind of show you exactly what's going on. And the nice part about with N8N is it's open source. So you really can honestly go on DigitalOcean for $6 a month, host on a GPU, and then you can have N8N with unlimited resources. Versus if you go on N8N right now, you're probably have to be paying 20 bucks or $28, I think minimum right now per month, versus where you could pay $6 a month and you're hosting it right now. So I have it connected on a GPU right now on DigitalOcean. And then as I'm gonna get into kind of the details of exactly what this is all about. But in a big overview, this is a chatbot for my website. And I'm gonna get into details about how this all kind of works. And, as Esther kind of started discussing in the beginning, from the triggers and to kind of how all this works. I know it looks a little bit intimidating, but I'll make it look super simple and we'll break it down exactly what this is all about. So as you see right here, these vary both of them. We have triggers. So this is the first initial action that we will do. So for right now, we won't worry about this one. We'll worry about the AI agent. So the first trigger right here, as you see, is when a chat message has been received. So from a front end perspective, this is my website. So when somebody types in, for instance, who is the founder, I'll go back to this. What this is connected to is pretty much like a webhook. And I've connected the webhook on my website through WordPress and it's posted in the footer. So what I'll do is take this, and this is the trigger. So as soon as somebody types in the message, it will go connect to the agent. Now, once we get into the AI agent, you'll start seeing kind of the brain. So imagine your agent is an employee, right? And you want to train your employee as technical as possible to understand the tasks that you want to provide. So for an example, you always want to kind of give a role for the agent. Just to kind of show an example is you are an assistant. So for instance, this is for my business. You are an assistant and you're going to be giving all this information. So for example, you want certain actions as an employee, right? You want to always share contact information, important rules. So these are certain limitations that we'll give to the agent. And this references, for instance, all to my certain pages. And you'll see all the certain things such as the scope. What is your goal as the chatbot? So as you see right here, it gets you a little bit more technical. So also, we're going to get into kind of what is forbidden. So one of the main key points too, as well, is you got to make sure when you talk to your employee, when they, for instance, when you go to HR, they tell you certain things you can't talk about. This is exactly kind of the direction you're going towards. You want to tell this employee, hey, don't do this. This is not HR friendly. So you would have certain things like forbidden, and then kind of the personality. So, like for instance, how do you want them to talk to you, right? This is your employer, your agent. How are they going to be able to relate and bring out their brand voice? Such as the kind of the contact rules, the scheduling rules, and then kind of knowledgeable summary. You'll see a lot of this information is going to be tied back to how I made the brain for the agent. But as of right now, I'm pretty much training the employee right now with all the scripts and kind of the technical details of how they should greet them. So think of it as you going to a job for the first time and you're getting all these handbooks and tutorials and somebody's teaching you, mentoring you. Now imagine you take all those things that that person got mentored in, but jotted it down. You're putting this right into an employee and you get to be able to kind of control exactly how it's going to interact and with the data. Now, the awesome part is you get to actually train it, and I'm going to kind of show exactly how it works. So every single agent has a chat model. So remember when Esther was saying the big brains, right? So OpenAI, as you know, you have to do a separate besides just a subscription of 20 bucks. It's like a developer mode where you get these API tokens. Now, every single one of these are attached to an API token with OpenAI. So that's the brain for the employee, right? So we have instructions on the employee, then we have the brain. Now, for the memory, for instance, what I really wanted to do was on my website, every single time somebody types it, I'm very interested in see what they say. So on this is imagine kind of the brains to hold that knowledge. Now they want to be able to hold that knowledge. And then we have a super base vector database. On this portion right here is where we connected it to a whole documentation right here. So as of right now, don't worry about this one. We're going to get into this portion right here. So as you see right here, I wanted to have full knowledge on my whole website, right? All the information, the automations I'm doing, kind of all the things about my business. You can put it, list from top to bottom. The nice part is as well, you can have AI kind of help you format, based on what your goal is and what are you trying to do. So as you see right here, I have the first trigger when execute workflow. So that means when I press this, it's going to execute this workflow and it's going to start going left to right. Now, when I press the execute workflow, it's going to download a file. And just to give you an example, I put it in a Google Drive, all information about my document, about my company, for instance, right? And you see kind of right here, it's all been organized in little sections. So as you see right here, this is all information about my company. I've helped add AI kind of formatted it based on how I want it to be formatted and when somebody talks to it. Takes all this information that you see right here. And what this is going to do, as soon as you press execute, it's going to download this file. And you see right here, you can connect to a certain file how you want it to be downloaded. Once you have that download filed, it will go to Superbase Vector, and this is going to be like a whole separate database, right? So I want to put somewhere where it can actually put all the data, all the information. And what it'll do here on, on a less technical term is pretty much it's going to embed that information into a vector database. This is kind of like the way of how AI and the LLMs read. I'm gonna kind of show it to you. I'm not sure many people, even I've talked to, have never seen what it looks like on the LLM side, like how they read the brains. This is actually exactly how it breaks down. So you see the amount of math that, some of these people who are very intense on LLM, this is all being put into like a almost kind of little database of its own, and it's getting put into certain sections and words. So imagine like an XY axis, like for instance, hello could be at the top left, or for instance, fishing will be on a whole different section, and then knows how to connect with each other by these little vectors. And as you see right here, when I download the file, this is what it would put into different sections, the context, right? So I had AI understand how to break it down apart based off that file I sent. And then it will take the document, it will load it, and then it will put it into a recursive character text splitter. This is on a very high level, but as of like when you start learning to this, you're not going to be doing this just yet. I know it's a little bit intimidating, but I want to share a real business use case to other people that I've actually implemented on my website and got leads, which leads converted into payments just off this whole automation itself that I've created. Now going back to this, now you see the agent. This is like its brain right here. We're going back to the little database. After the whole process of I put my documentation in, it understood, it broke it down into the right sections. Now this AI employee has like a brain, an extra brain, right? Like imagine that's an employee, all their knowledge being fed into the agent. Now when you type in, for instance, hello, who's the founder? It's grabbing those, it has all these instructions with all the information you just got. It will break it down. And for instance, just to give you a demo, so I put who is the founder. The founder is me, and it'll give you more information. Then give me more information about the business. It's going to pull back everything that it read through here, right? All the information through here. And it's also going to look through into instructions, right? So it's like the HR approval book. It's going to read through all the instructions. It's going to take both of those different things and it's going to tell the person exactly the response back based on how you wrote it all back out. And then on the nice part too is you see this the memory when I was mentioning, you can see kind of how to store all the data. On here, I have kind of a chat history and it shows you, for instance, you wrote tests. It will say, hey there, it looks like you're testing. How can I help you with automation? So the nice part is these agents can also store all the information that you're putting based on how you want to convey it. For instance, another use case that I will have this history, right? I have another AI agent. Will take a report of every single week of the chat. What we'll do is it specialize on what does it need to work on? What are the biggest questions they're asking? So for instance, I can implement what the agent told me and I can implement to my website. Or for instance, there's a lot of questions that everybody asked. What I could do is go to my website, put in the FAQ that most people asked. So it'll reduce those. And then it just keeps learning off itself. And this is kind of a huge overview of a real use case of me actually selling this AI agent, based on people's websites that, take all their information that's been templated and then put it into a real life scenario. So I know it's a lot for somebody who's just learning to agents, but this is kind of shows you a real business use case scenarios that's generated leads, has generated money, and has also brought, a lot of knowledge and information just to kind of show you what's possible. You're training almost like a high level employee, and me being like a business analyst, I'm taking a lot of technical requirements. I'm constantly, gathering information. So you are starting to understand taking that knowledge from being a business analyst into doing AI agents is going to make you probably one of the most outstanding people
Hmm.
in creating AI agents because it's definitely helped bring those skill sets from there over to what I'm doing to this. And now I love it so much and I started a business off of it. And I think I've probably sold over 30 plus automations across worldwide. And then I started this year and it's business has been booming and I love it. So it keeps going on deeper too. So
Seamus,
that
That's
is.
why he's a CEO, by the way. So Simas can be built.
hmm I hope
yeah.
that's a good overview and try to explain. I know this is kind of complex, but try to show you real business use case. I know when somebody just builds something minor, you're not as interested versus real putting to real business use cases and putting to use. So
Hmm.
this is an example right here.
And seeing that you have sold over 30, you could be a sponsor for the IIBA Tampa Bay.
I
Seamus, one of
could,
the
I
things that
could.
that I really appreciate is that you set it up where it can identify how to improve your process.
Hmm.
So
Hmm
you built that in. That's pretty cool. And I bet you a lot of us can look at this and go, my work could use this, to solve asking the same problem questions over and over and such. Does
hmm
Great.
anyone have any last questions before we run out of time?
No, I like how you controlled the data source too. That's a big
Mhm.
key for us.
Hmm.
hmm
You can't just point Copilot to the internet. You will get crap back. It's only
Exactly.
as good as the data source you point it to.
Exactly.
I say that 100 times a day to clients. It's only as good as
hmm
what you point it to.
Exactly.
hmm
Only as good as
And
what you put in.
there's a lot
Bob
of trial
has
and
a
error, by the way.
question.
There was a lot of trial and error just to get the perfect responses. So there's like
Hmm.
a lot, and the nice part is you keep improving too. All right.
Bob, what's your question?
Yeah, quick question. Really, thank you so much all for this amazing presentation. It's been very helpful. I had a question. So I had actually a similar idea, something within our organization, our company, to implement some kind of troubleshoot FAQ guide for one of our softwares. And so when I saw you share an example like this, I was like, oh yes, this is kind of exactly what I was thinking of. But where I'm getting stuck, if I could use that word, was that interface side. So the part where a user has an issue and they want to now go and ask that question. Is that sort of, so I'm using Copilot Studio as well, like
Hmm.
Esther was mentioning. So is that something I would create within Copilot Studio? Is that like that interface where the everyday user would now go and ask that chatbot or that system or the system of like, I have this issue, how do I resolve it?
So are you creating an agent for internal use or for external use?
So it would be ex so external from the point of it's not just for me, but
Hmm.
internal in the fact that it's within the organization.
Within the
Mm.
organization. So if it's
Yes.
within the organization, then you're kind of restricted to the internal information. But again, I skipped a part of your question. So if you want to rephrase it, like go over it again.
Sure. I think my main question is the interface where the
Hmm.
user would now ask that question. So just like Simas's example here, where
Hmm.
he has a chatbot answering some specific questions, right? So for example, we have a software within our organization,
Yep.
and we already have a bunch of FAQ guides. We have a bunch of, you know, things in the background.
Okay.
And sometimes to your point from the notes I was taking, like that problem is a lot of times when someone has a question, they're just going to one of the super users who
Hmm.
has her whole finance job. She doesn't want to
Okay.
be answering these questions. So I was thinking when I was playing with this agent idea that if we could have created some kind of AI agent that could answer
Hmm.
those quick, easy questions
Questions?
instead of people digging through like the FAQs and all that. So
Yeah.
I have the knowledge base, I have the material, things to feed it, but
Okay.
I'm just wondering the interface where someone now a day-to-day user would now have
Yep.
a question instead of going to the super user, they'll just go to this AI agent and ask that
Good.
question.
Now I get your question. Have you tried
Mhm.
publishing any of the agents you have created?
No, it's all kind of
Okay.
getting
So when you
started.
publish it, you'd see the specific locations, and there is also a way you publish. If you publish to the entire employees, there's going to be your access points, which you're going to determine. So if it's going to
Hmm.
be like a chatbot, like for Simas's own, on the website, it's like a chatbot.
Hmm.
So you actually determine
Okay.
where it
Mm-hmm.
lives.
Mm-hmm.
At my
Gotcha.
company, they
Okay.
have ours on SharePoint.
Yeah.
It's on
Okay.
the department front
SharePoint's a
page,
great data
SharePoint,
source.
right
exactly.
side.
Yeah.
It's a
Mm.
sidebar so that
Hmm.
you have your main page and then you have your
You
sidebar that
just
you
see
can
it.
Awesome.
put in your
Hmm.
stuff.
Okay.
Mm.
So when you
Very cool.
An
publish,
even better data source is a CRM system where you have your cases. Most
Right.
big companies would have a CRM where they have cases
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
or
exactly.
incidents. Microsoft calls them incidents.
Mm-hmm.
Ratio calls them case. Everybody has their own terminology, but it's the same
Hmm.
thing. Um,
Um,
so, that's a great data source, knowledge
yeah.
database for problems and solutions. Who better to hit than your own help desk tickets?
Yeah. Exactly.
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 Yep.
So thank you so much. Appreciate that.
You're
I gotta
welcome.
do some more playing with that and see.
That's fine.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Bob.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Any other questions? This is a meaty subject. It's not something we can cover easily in this amount of time, but
Yeah.
Esther and
Mm-hmm.
Seamus, y'all did a fine job of peeling back the layers and showing us something that is actually useful. And we can, it's like, oh, that department can use it, and that department can use it,
Mm-hmm.
and that department can use it. So we are excited even more. I'm so glad that this is recorded. It will be on YouTube tomorrow, thanks to Cliff, and then it will be put into Bob's Amazing Index. So for those of you who are using that, please do join us next week. We have Rochelle Tan going to be presenting to us. She's going to be talking about design thinking in action, turning customer needs into high value solutions. I know that you may not know Rochelle, but again, I saw her present this at BBC last year. She did such a fantastic job, and I think they got a standing ovation from their presentation, because design thinking is a critical way of thinking to see the whole picture. And so if you've never heard of it, you need to understand what it is, because it's becoming normal lingo in corporate America. People want design thinking ability. If you have any questions, you're free to reach out to me personally on LinkedIn. Esther and Simas are also on LinkedIn. If you want to reach out to them, I bet you they would be welcome. Those. If you want Simas to help you set up your own system, I bet you he would be welcome to help you as well. Again, if you need any assistance, do reach out. It's important to us that we take care of our people, and you are now our people. So I hope to see you next week, and I hope everything goes well for you. Talk to you later. Bye, guys.